Hello, everyone. Welcome to Atomo. My name's Andrew. It is January 25th, 2024. I haven't been around making videos for a while because it seems like things are moving into a kind of a status quo. I was looking, uh, what's really coming forward right now is the problems with the southern border, and this is what got me to jump out and create a video for you. Is there's almost kind of an alignment of a lot of things that are going on right now. So let me put up some news here. What I have here, looking at Twitter, it's amazing that this jumped out at me. I was going to pull some of my prepared notes. What we have, so context here is we got the problem at the border, and with the problem at the border, there are sequences or there's networks that are in place that are look like they're funneling people up into the United States. And this is impressive because I knew a bit about the Darien Gap. And how I knew about that is I have to give kudos to uh, Mr. Thomas Kerrigan here of Tommy's podcast. He had a gentleman, let me zoom out here. If we go to Tommy's page, he has one here about unchecked migration. And that's 22 days ago. So Tommy's ahead of the game here. So shout out, buddy. I just want to put a bit of Tommy on blast because I know he doesn't have access to Twitter because he really gets into some of this really great content. And I think some of the Twitter or X or Radas or whoever are on that have blocked him from using the platform because he really goes in depth in some of these topics. And I think that's a great injustice. I'm going to help do my part to get Tommy's work out there because he's really setting the stage for some of this of the machinations that are going on behind the scenes. So I'll put this into the description below so you can go into
Man,
the
he is
Darien Gap.
constantly
Oh, let me stop Tommy there. Okay. So I'll pull that one aside and I'll have that one for you if you want to do a bit of research. But then that brought me up to Brett Weinstein, who's looks like he's had a conversation on this as well. Let me click into this and see what's going on here. Uh, I haven't looked into this one yet, but I'll pull this one out and add that to the notes as well. Essentially, what I wanted to jump in on is this here. So what we're looking at here, it looks like it's a map of governors. So what was happening is Texas was using their own, I guess, state guard. There's National Guard, there's State Guard. I think there's three. I don't know what you call them, corps or levels. There's the National Guard, and I think the states have also their own type of National Guard, but for the national border of the state. Now that doesn't make sense because it is a state, but uh, anyhow, you can drop in the comments below. Say, hey, Andrew, look at this if you want to get the information correct. But look at this map started. There was just a few states on this morning. And as I pulled it later, I realized, oh, wow, there's a whole rack of states that are lining up showing solidarity for Texas. It feels a little bit like the Lord of the Rings. You have my sword, you have my axe. That are just things are changing quite fast. So I'm calling this the part 2 chapter 2. I call it the greatest show on earth. Part 1 is when the Ukraine conflict happened. There was some run up to the Ukraine conflict, and that started part 1, especially with a lot of the changes with the Federal Reserve and the monetary back in, I believe, 2020, there was a movement of the reverse repo by 5 points that started to set this whole charade into motion, plus the increase of the funds rate. Because essentially, when we're looking at the immigration that's happening and the amount of, and that's what I was getting into with Tommy's podcast here, like there's a lot more that's underneath the hood. It's just not people walking up to the border and coming across, is they're getting support, and they're getting support in ways that it almost seems like they have U.S. government support. You could say, well, no, no, duh, Andrew. Of course they do, because look, they have all these encampments. They're giving them phones, but even they're getting support even outside of the country and getting infrastructure built in Latin America countries to push them all up. Again, that's a bit of the Brett Weinstein, looks like is what he might be touching on. That's what they touched on in the Tommy's podcast, are creating channels and conduits for the people to come up into the United States. And this is so huge. What it can mean is, do we have an administration that's in play right now that's actually co-opting or working with other groups in other countries, possibly through non-governmental organizations, to basically create highways to move people up and place them into the United States? If that's the case, that is serious, absolutely serious. And it's a new type of warfare where we don't need to put people, if you look over into Ukraine or back to the World War One, where we got boots on the ground, people in trenches shooting at each other that are drawing the lines. In this, we got this case of lawfare in building infrastructure or tearing down specific infrastructure to create the border. But in this case, they're evaporating the border in a way that you don't even need troops. You have an invasion that's going on that is very different than, I'm trying to think of mass migrations back throughout antiquity, to where this happened before, possibly to the Roman Empire when the Gauls moved in, but you know, just making a bit of conjecture that it perhaps, elements of the Roman Empire did open the gates and said, come one, come all, this is just where it's at. The party's going on. You're going to knock down our gates anyhow, so might as well just let you in. I'm really not sure there. But now we're looking at the solidarity that's moving in. This is important because the Supreme Court of the United States did mention the legalities of Texas setting up border protections within their own state, noticing that New Mexico, Arizona, and California haven't set anything, or they're not showing solidarity. But if we think of the influx of people going into the U.S. And not being vetted, the security problems that's going to incur. We don't know who these people are, whether they're foreign actors that are coming in, that are going to be up to no good and subverting systems inside of the U.S. over time. Even if Trump gets elected and he wants to deport everybody, that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of work to find people and to move them back. Most likely the people that are going to get moved back are the ones that really were looking for the American dream, and the ones that stay are going to be the hardened people who perhaps have training in the potential alleged or possible subversive activities that they're going to do, so they'll integrate and stay and play until the point where those assets are activated. And that can be a massive poison pill for a potential incoming Trump administration, given the way everything's looking right now. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but we can make some inferences here. You know, we're not, those of you that join this channel, listen to this, you're quite intelligent about what's going on with these things. But it does put into perspective the level of vandalism that's going on right now. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. I'm going to try to keep this shorter here, and we'll leave it at that. And as things emerge, evolve, we'll add more to this, but also take a look as well. It goes from Florida and kind of makes a line that kind of connects these two corners all the way up. Haven't we heard about something about this before? It's like a diag. I can't say it because, you know, I don't want Canadian government here to issue another Emergencies Act because I utter a particular word that allegedly got them to set up the Emergencies Act in the first place, but goes all the way up, and we know how Alberta's acting right now, so big changes are afoot. And happy Thursday. I'll leave it there for you, and we'll keep updating this as things progress. Have a good one.